Hillary Clinton had just called Kash Patel unfit to lead the FBI on live television. She stood before the Senate Judiciary Committee with 30 years of political dominance behind her, pointing an accusing finger at the man who controlled the most powerful law enforcement agency on Earth. This partisan hack, she declared, has spent his career chasing conspiracy theories instead of real crimes. The chamber murmured approval. Her attorney smiled. After surviving Whitewater Benghazi, the email investigation, and every scandal in between, this was familiar territory. But Patel didn't defend himself. He didn't object. He just waited. When Hillary finished her attack, he reached for a briefcase marked "Director's Eyes Only." "Secretary Clinton," he said quietly, "I was hoping you'd question my qualifications, because now I get to show you exactly why I'm qualified to lead this bureau." He opened the briefcase. "I have access to every FBI file on your crimes, all 23 years of them. Would you like to see what we found?" The Senate Judiciary Oversight hearing room crackled with unprecedented tension. This wasn't just another Washington hearing. This was a direct confrontation between America's top law enforcement official and the woman who had been the subject of more FBI investigations than any politician in history. FBI Director Kash Patel entered the chamber with the quiet confidence of someone who controlled the most powerful investigative agency on Earth. No theatrical entrance, no media circus, just a federal prosecutor turned FBI director carrying briefcases that contained 23 years of bureau evidence. Hillary Clinton swept in like she owned the building, surrounded by expensive attorneys and media handlers. She'd been invited as an expert witness on FBI leadership and political interference, a role that would have been laughable if it weren't so audacious. After all, this was the woman whose corruption had necessitated more FBI resources than any other political figure in American history. The irony was perfect and devastating. Hillary Clinton lecturing the FBI director about law enforcement integrity. Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley called the hearing to order, but everyone knew this wasn't really about oversight procedures or bureaucratic management. This was about 23 years of accumulated evidence finally facing the one person who had generated more of it than anyone else. Hillary's opening statement was vintage Clinton, polished, condescending, and dripping with the kind of institutional arrogance that had defined her career. Chairman Grassley distinguished members of the committee. She began with that practiced political smile. "I appear before you today deeply concerned about the direction of federal law enforcement under the current administration." Her voice carried the authority of someone who had spent decades manipulating these very institutions. Kash Patel's nomination as FBI director represents the complete politicization of federal law enforcement. He spent years as a Trump loyalist spreading conspiracy theories and attacking dedicated FBI agents. She paused for effect, her eyes scanning the chamber with calculated precision. "The FBI has always been America's premier law enforcement agency, respected worldwide for its professionalism and independence. That reputation is now being destroyed by political operatives who care more about serving their masters than serving justice." But then came the moment that would destroy her career forever. Hillary turned to face Kash directly, her voice dripping with condescension and barely contained contempt. "Mr. Patel has spent his career chasing Hillary Clinton conspiracy theories instead of focusing on real crimes. The FBI deserves better than a partisan hack who doesn't understand real law enforcement." She leaned forward slightly, delivering what she thought would be the killing blow. "Perhaps Mr. Patel should focus on learning basic legal procedures instead of weaponizing federal law enforcement for his political master's revenge fantasies." The chamber fell silent. Even seasoned Washington observers recognized that something fundamental had just shifted. Hillary Clinton had just challenged the FBI director to defend his qualifications, while sitting in front of someone who had access to every classified file documenting her crimes. Kash Patel sat perfectly still for exactly 3 seconds. The calm, unshakable composure of someone who controlled the most powerful law enforcement agency in the world. That look, every FBI agent watching immediately recognized it. It was the look of a federal prosecutor who had spent years building an airtight case and was about to present it to a jury When he finally spoke, his voice carried the full authority of the FBI. Secretary Clinton, he said, his words precise and measured. I appreciate your perspective on FBI leadership. After all, you've been the subject of more FBI investigations than perhaps anyone in American political history. He reached for his first briefcase, this one bearing official FBI seals and marked Director's Eyes Only. Since you mentioned conspiracy theories, let's discuss FBI facts. Let's start with your private email server and the evidence the FBI collected but was never allowed to prosecute. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop 10 degrees. Hillary's confident smile faltered as she realized she was facing the one person in America who had access to everything the FBI knew about her. You see, Secretary Clinton, I'm not just a former investigator anymore. I'm the FBI director. I have access to every email, every classified file, every piece of evidence the Bureau collected during your multiple investigations. Hillary tried to interrupt, but Kash held up a gentle hand with the authority of someone who commanded 35,000 federal agents. The American people deserve to know what their FBI discovered about your crimes. And as FBI director, I have the authority to show them. Hillary's face flushed red as she realized the trap she had walked into. She had challenged the FBI director's credibility, and now he was about to demonstrate exactly why he was qualified to lead the Bureau. Let's begin with the evidence, Secretary Clinton. Let's see how well you defend against 23 years of FBI documentation. Comment FBI evidence if you can't believe what the Bureau is hiding. We're trending worldwide with net at FBI files. The FBI director is exposing everything. Share this before they try to reclassify it. Kash opened his first briefcase with the methodical precision of someone who had conducted thousands of federal investigations. The documents inside bore the distinctive seals of FBI Forensics Division's counterintelligence units and evidence response teams, the accumulated work of America's premier law enforcement agency. Secretary Clinton, Kash began, his voice carrying the institutional weight of FBI authority. The American people were told that your email investigation was thorough and complete. That was a lie. The FBI collected evidence that was never released to Congress, never shared with prosecutors, never seen by the American people. He produced the first document, a comprehensive FBI forensics report marked classified in bold red letters. This is the complete FBI digital forensics analysis of your private server, classified until this moment. What it reveals will shock every American who believed the sanitized version they were told. The document appeared on the chamber's main monitors, heavily redacted but with key findings highlighted in yellow. The classified markings were clearly visible, lending undeniable credibility to what was being revealed. The FBI's technical analysis shows your server contained 2 847 emails marked classified at the time they were sent, not retroactively classified as you claimed, but classified when you transmitted them from your bathroom server to unauthorized recipients. Hillary's face began to show the first signs of real concern, but she quickly shifted into attack mode. Director Patel, this is exactly why I warned about your appointment. Hillary's voice rose with righteous indignation. You're weaponizing the FBI for political revenge. These classified documents were selectively leaked by Trump loyalists in the Bureau. She stood up slightly, pointing an accusing finger at Kash. You've turned the FBI into a partisan attack machine. Where were these documents during Comey's investigation? Why didn't they surface during Mueller's probe? Because they're fabricated by partisan agents trying to overturn an election. Hillary's voice cracked with emotion as she delivered what she thought would be a devastating blow. You're destroying FBI credibility to serve your political master. This is McCarthyism with classified stamps. The chamber stirred as Democratic senators began nodding approvingly. Hillary's counterattack had been fierce and emotional, exactly the kind of response that had served her well for decades. She had turned from defendant to accuser, claiming victimhood while attacking her accuser's credibility. But Kash Patel had been expecting this exact response. His reply was delivered with the calm authority of someone who had anticipated every possible defense. Secretary Clinton, are you claiming the FBI fabricated audio recordings of your voice? Are you saying our forensic specialists doctored metadata timestamps? Are you accusing career FBI agents from both Republican and Democratic administrations of participating in evidence fabrication? He produced a thick folder marked Chain of Custody Documentation. Here's the chain of custody documentation for every piece of evidence signed by FBI agents appointed during the Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden administrations. Are you claiming they're all part of a conspiracy? Kash began displaying the custody documents on the monitors, each bearing multiple signatures and official seals spanning multiple presidential administrations. But since you question the authenticity of FBI evidence, let me play something that will resolve any doubts about fabrication. He produced audio equipment that had been set up at his position. The FBI was conducting surveillance of your IT contractor when they recorded this conversation with you. The audio quality was professional FBI surveillance grade. Hillary's voice filled the chamber, unmistakably clear and devastating. Brian, I don't care what Congress subpoenaed. I need that server destroyed completely. The FBI can't be allowed to recover anything. There are emails on there that would end my career and put me in federal prison. The recording was followed by Brian Poliano's voice. Mrs. Clinton destroying evidence under subpoena is a federal crime. I could go to prison. Hillary's recorded response was chilling. You'll go to prison anyway if those emails see daylight. Destroy everything and I'll make sure you're protected. The chamber erupted. Hillary's face went completely white as she heard her own voice instructing the destruction of evidence under federal subpoena. This wasn't political spin or interpretation. This was Hillary Clinton's own words proving criminal intent. Secretary Clinton, Kash continued with devastating calm, this recording was made by FBI surveillance equipment, verified by FBI voice analysis specialists, and authenticated by independent forensic experts. Are you claiming the FBI fabricated your voice? Hillary tried desperately to recover. That recording is taken out of context. The legal situation was complex, and the context, Kash interrupted, is that you instructed the destruction of evidence while under federal subpoena. The FBI has additional recordings documenting your systematic obstruction of justice. He produced FBI evidence photographs showing destroyed BlackBerry devices, shattered hard drives, and forensic reports documenting the systematic destruction. The FBI documented that you didn't just delete emails. You used BleachBit software to prevent any possibility of recovery, then physically destroyed 17 different devices with hammers to eliminate any trace of evidence. Kash's voice rose with prosecutorial authority. Secretary Clinton, this wasn't carelessness or poor judgment. This was systematic evidence destruction designed to obstruct federal investigations. The FBI documented every step of your cover-up operation. Hillary sat back down, her initial counterattack having backfired spectacularly. The audio recording had destroyed her credibility, and the FBI's documentation was too comprehensive to dismiss as partisan fabrication. We just passed 125,000 likes. Hillary tried to fight back, but the FBI evidence destroyed her defense. Comment: obstruction. If you think she's guilty, but wait until you see how she responds to the Benghazi evidence. The chamber had settled into a tense quiet as Kash reached for his second briefcase. This one was marked with additional security classifications and bore the seals of FBI counterterrorism divisions. When he opened it, the weight of 4 American lives lost in Benghazi seemed to fill the entire room. Secretary Clinton, Kash began, his voice carrying the institutional gravity of FBI counterterrorism operations. The FBI conducted its own investigation into Benghazi, separate from Congress, separate from the State Department. As FBI director, I've reviewed every classified file. He displayed 4 photographs on the chamber monitors with the reverence due to fallen Americans: Ambassador Chris Stevens, Information Officer Sean Smith, CIA contractors Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty. These men died under your watch, Secretary Clinton. The FBI investigation uncovered evidence of criminal negligence that was never prosecuted until now. The personal dimension made the evidence even more powerful. This wasn't about abstract policy failures. This was about American lives lost due to documented government failures. The FBI's Counterterrorism Division determined that Benghazi was a pre-planned terrorist attack coordinated by al-Qaeda affiliates. You received this assessment in real time via secure FBI communications. Kash produced the first document, an FBI counterterrorism assessment bearing timestamps from September 11, 2012. FBI Counterterrorism Division Flash Report, September 11, 2012, 15:23 hours. Benghazi Consulate under coordinated terrorist assault, evidence of advanced planning and surveillance, al-Qaeda-affiliated groups identified through signals intelligence. This is not spontaneous protest activity. Before Kash could continue, Hillary exploded from her chair. How dare you use those brave Americans' deaths for your political theater? Hillary's voice cracked with fury and what appeared to be genuine emotion. I spent 11 hours before Congress answering every question about Benghazi. She pointed accusingly at the photographs of the fallen Americans. You're desecrating their memory with conspiracy theories. Their families don't deserve this exploitation by a partisan FBI director seeking revenge. Hillary's voice rose to near shouting, "These audio recordings are illegal surveillance that violates executive privilege. You're committing crimes to justify your appointment." She began pacing behind her table, her composure completely shattered. This is why career FBI agents are terrified of your leadership. You'll break any law, violate any privacy, destroy any reputation for political gain. Democratic senators began voicing support for Hillary's objections. Mr. Chairman, this is inappropriate use of classified material for political purposes. The chamber erupted in competing voices as Hillary's emotional defense gained momentum. She had successfully shifted the narrative from her actions to Kash's methods, claiming victimhood while questioning the legitimacy of FBI evidence. But Kash had been preparing for this exact response for months. "Secretary Clinton," he said, his voice cutting through the chaos with FBI authority. "These recordings were obtained under legal FISA warrants approved by federal judges. Every piece of surveillance was court-approved and conducted according to FBI protocols established long before my tenure." He produced official court documents bearing federal judicial seals. "Here are the warrant applications signed by federal judges appointed by presidents of both parties." "Are you claiming federal judges were part of a political conspiracy?" Hillary tried to interrupt, but Kash continued relentlessly. "And since you mentioned the families..." The video screen lit up. "We have testimony from the Gold Star families who say you lied to them personally." The monitor displayed a video recording of Patricia Smith, mother of Sean Smith, speaking to FBI investigators. "Hillary Clinton looked me in the eye at my son's coffin and told me he died because of a YouTube video. But I know that's not true. She knew it wasn't true when she said it. She lied to me while my son's body was right there." The testimony was followed by similar statements from other family members, each one more damaging than the last. "These families trusted you, Secretary Clinton. They believed the FBI would seek justice for their loved ones. Instead, they got lies designed to protect your political career." Kash then played the surveillance audio that destroyed Hillary's Benghazi narrative forever. "This is FBI surveillance audio from the State Department Operations Center, September 11, 2012, 22:17 hours. Hillary's voice filled the chamber with devastating clarity. "We cannot send military rescue this close to the election. The political damage would be catastrophic. Tell the Pentagon to stand down and let this play out. We'll blame it on the video and move on." A male voice identified as Deputy Secretary William Burns responded, "Madam Secretary, we have Americans under fire. The military is ready to respond." Hillary's recorded voice was cold and calculating. "Bill 4 Americans aren't worth losing the election. Stand down the rescue mission and prepare the video narrative." The recording was followed by stunned silence. Hillary's own voice had just proven that she prioritized her political career over American lives under fire. Hillary looked completely shattered, her earlier defiance replaced by the dawning realization that the FBI had recorded her worst moments. That recording is taken out of context," she stammered. "The situation was fluid, intelligence was evolving." Secretary Clinton, Kash replied with FBI institutional authority. FBI surveillance doesn't take things out of context. It records exactly what was said when it was said and why it was said. The context is that you chose politics over American lives. The weight of evidence was overwhelming. FBI surveillance, counterterrorism analysis, forensic evidence, recorded conversations, all pointing to criminal negligence and systematic deception. We just hit 175,000 likes. Hillary's emotional defense backfired when the FBI played her own voice comment, "Stand down." If you think she let Americans die, but she's about to get desperate when she sees the Clinton Foundation files. Kash reached for his third briefcase with the gravity of someone about to expose the largest criminal enterprise ever investigated by federal law enforcement. This briefcase was thicker than the others, reinforced with additional security features, and marked with the seals of FBI Financial Crimes Divisions, Organized Crime Units, and International Corruption Task Forces. Secretary Clinton, Kash began his voice carrying the weight of 23 years of FBI investigation. The Bureau has been investigating the Clinton Foundation as a racketeering enterprise since 2001. What I'm about to reveal represents the most comprehensive organized crime investigation in FBI history. The folder he opened contained FBI surveillance photos, wiretap transcripts, financial analysis from multiple international law enforcement agencies, and RICO Predicate Act documentation that would have been sufficient to prosecute the largest crime families in American history. The FBI's Organized Crime Division applied racketeering statutes to Clinton Foundation operations after determining that it meets every legal definition of a criminal enterprise designed to launder bribes through a tax-exempt charity. But before Kash could present his evidence, Hillary launched her most desperate counterattack yet. "This is a witch hunt!" Hillary's voice cracked with a mixture of rage and desperation. "You're recycling the same baseless allegations that have been investigated and dismissed for decades." She stood up, her hands shaking with emotion. "The Clinton Foundation has helped millions of people worldwide. We've saved lives in Africa, provided clean water, fought AIDS." Hillary began walking toward Kash's table, her voice rising to near hysteria. "You're attacking charity work because you can't handle that a woman almost became president. This is misogyny disguised as law enforcement." She spun to face the cameras directly. "These foreign donations came from humanitarian organizations, not governments. You're twisting charity into conspiracy because you serve a man who lost the popular vote." Democratic senators began standing in support. "Mr. Chairman, this has gone beyond oversight into character assassination." Hillary's voice cracked with what appeared to be genuine emotion. "I've dedicated my life to helping people, and this partisan hack is destroying charitable work that saves children's lives." The chamber was in chaos as Hillary's emotional appeal gained traction. She had successfully positioned herself as a defender of charity work being attacked by a partisan FBI director. Her tears appeared genuine, her indignation compelling. But Kash had anticipated this exact defense. "Secretary Clinton," he said with deadly calm, "humanitarian organizations. Let me show you FBI surveillance footage of briefcase exchanges with Chinese military officers." The monitors lit up with FBI surveillance video showing what appeared to be cash exchanges between individuals in expensive suits and people in Chinese military uniforms. The surveillance was conducted by FBI counterintelligence as part of our investigation into foreign influence operations. These Chinese officials were identified as Ministry of State Security operatives. The video was devastating, showing apparent money transfers that contradicted Hillary's humanitarian narrative. "And here's testimony from Haitian officials about your foundation's extortion operations." Kash played FBI interview recordings with Haitian government officials. The Clinton Foundation demanded 15% kickbacks on all relief contracts. Officials who refused were denied access to reconstruction funds. Haitian people suffered while Clinton family got rich. But the most damaging evidence was yet to come. FBI Financial Intelligence Unit report Clinton Foundation received $2 $35 billion in donations between 2001 and 2016. Forensic analysis reveals only 6% reached actual charitable activities, remaining 94% funded Clinton family lifestyle political operations and payoffs to facilitators. The financial analysis was devastating, proving that the foundation was essentially a massive money laundering operation disguised as charity. Hillary's earlier emotional appeal crumbled as the FBI evidence showed systematic theft of charitable donations. Secretary Clinton, you didn't run a charity, you ran a criminal enterprise that stole money intended for disaster victims and AIDS patients. Kash's voice rose with moral authority. The FBI documented that while Haitians were dying from earthquake damage, your foundation was diverting their relief money to gold mining contracts for your brother. Hillary sat down heavily, her defense of charitable work destroyed by FBI evidence of systematic theft from the world's most vulnerable people. Incredible. We just passed 225,000 likes. Hillary tried to hide behind charity work, but the FBI exposed her criminal foundation comment, crime family. If you think they stole from disaster victims, but wait until you see her nuclear option against the Russia evidence. Kash reached for his fourth briefcase with the solemnity of someone about to expose the greatest political fraud in American history. This briefcase bore the highest classification markings, the kind reserved for counterintelligence operations that could reshape understanding of American politics. Secretary Clinton Kash said, his voice carrying the full weight of FBI counterintelligence authority, the Bureau conducted the most comprehensive investigation of the Russia collusion narrative in FBI history. What we discovered will shock every American who believed your lies. He opened the briefcase to reveal documents bearing the seals of FBI counterintelligence divisions, CIA liaison offices, and NSA coordination units, the combined work of America's entire intelligence community. The FBI didn't just investigate Russian interference in American elections, Secretary Clinton. We investigated WHO was spreading Russian disinformation inside America, and our investigation identified you as the primary source. Before Kash could present his evidence, Hillary deployed what she thought would be her nuclear option. You want to talk about Russia? Hillary's voice erupted with fury. You're the one with suspicious Russian connections. Your confirmation was supported by senators who took Russian money. She stood up, pointing accusingly at Kash with trembling hands. This entire hearing is a Russian disinformation operation designed to rehabilitate Putin's puppet Trump. You're doing Putin's work right now. Hillary began shouting, her voice echoing through the chamber. The intelligence community stands behind the Russian interference findings. You're attacking American intelligence to serve foreign interests. She spun to face the cameras. 17 intelligence agencies confirmed Russian interference. Are you calling them all liars? Are you saying the CIA, NSA, and FBI were all wrong? Hillary's voice reached a crescendo of desperation. This man is a Russian asset trying to destroy American intelligence. He's Putin's inside man in the FBI. The chamber erupted in chaos. Democratic senators were on their feet supporting Hillary's accusations. The gallery was shouting. Security moved toward the disturbance. Hillary had just accused the FBI director of being a Russian asset while standing in the Senate chamber. It was the most desperate political attack in American history. Chairman Grassley pounded his gavel. The chamber will come to order. Security, clear the gallery if necessary. But Kash Patel remained perfectly calm throughout Hillary's nuclear meltdown. Secretary Clinton, he said with devastating composure, you just accused the FBI director of being a Russian asset while sitting in front of evidence proving you took Russian money. He produced a document that silenced the chamber instantly. This is CIA Director John Brennan's handwritten notes from July 28, 2016. Hillary Clinton proposal stirring up a scandal between Trump and Russia as a means of distracting from her own controversies. The document appeared on the monitors bearing CIA classification stamps and Brennan's distinctive handwriting. The CIA briefed the FBI that you were planning to fabricate Russian collusion allegations, Secretary Clinton. The intelligence community knew you were creating disinformation from day one. Kash's voice rose with FBI authority. You didn't investigate Russian interference, you were the Russian interference. You created the very disinformation you claimed to be fighting. He produced audio surveillance that had been classified at the highest levels. FBI surveillance of Clinton campaign headquarters, October 2016. Hillary's voice was unmistakable. The Russia story gives us cover for everything. The emails, the foundation, all of it disappears if Trump is seen as Putin's puppet. Feed everything to the media and let them run with it. The recorded conversation proved systematic disinformation creation by Hillary's campaign. Secretary Clinton, you spent 3 years accusing others of Russian collusion while the FBI has recordings of you coordinating the hoax. Hillary's nuclear attack had backfired completely. Her accusation of Russian ties had been destroyed by FBI evidence proving she was the real Russian asset. Nuclear meltdown, 275,000 likes and climbing. Hillary accused the FBI director of being a Russian spy, but the FBI proved she created the Russia hoax comment, projection. If you think Hillary always accuses others of her own crimes, but she's about to make her final stand. Kash reached for his 5th briefcase, knowing this would be Hillary's last chance to fight back. This briefcase contained FBI white-collar crime investigations, financial intelligence reports, and organized crime financial analysis, evidence that would complete Hillary's legal destruction. Secretary Clinton, Kash began his voice carrying the authority of federal financial crime enforcement. The FBI's white-collar crime division has conducted a comprehensive investigation of your family's financial operations. What we discovered represents systematic fraud, money laundering, and political corruption spanning 3 decades. But Hillary wasn't going down without a final desperate fight. Enough! Hillary's scream echoed through the chamber. This is a coordinated attack by Wall Street enemies who want to destroy anyone who fought for financial reform. She pounded the table with both fists, her face red with rage and desperation. These FBI files are probably fabricated by the same people who created Hunter's laptop. You're destroying American institutions for political revenge. Hillary began pacing frantically behind her table. I've dedicated my life to public service while you've served only Trump's vendetta. History will judge this witch hunt. She spun toward the exit. I will not sit here and be destroyed by partisan lies from a corrupt FBI director. This hearing is over. Hillary began walking toward the chamber doors, her legal team scrambling to follow her. But Kash had been waiting for this exact moment. Secretary Clinton, you cannot leave. His voice carried the full authority of federal law enforcement. U.S. Marshals, please secure the chamber. Federal marshals moved to block the exits as Hillary realized she was trapped. As FBI director, I am placing you under arrest for treason, espionage, money laundering, and conspiracy against the United States. Kash produced an arrest warrant bearing federal judicial seals. The evidence presented today provides probable cause for immediate detention pending trial. Hillary collapsed back into her chair, her final escape attempt thwarted by federal law enforcement. The FBI has documented a 30-year criminal enterprise operating under the guise of public service. You sold classified information to foreign governments. You took bribes through your foundation. You obstructed federal investigations. You created disinformation campaigns against American democracy. Kash's voice rose with the moral authority of constitutional law enforcement. Hillary Rodham Clinton, you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. As the handcuffs were applied, Hillary's 30-year political career ended not with graceful defeat, but with federal arrest for treason. The woman who thought she was above the law learned that FBI evidence and constitutional justice are above everyone. The chamber erupted in sustained applause that lasted for nearly 20 minutes. This wasn't partisan political theater. This was the American people witnessing constitutional accountability delivered by the FBI director with institutional authority and overwhelming evidence. Hillary Clinton was led from the chamber in federal custody, her 3-decade reign of corruption finally ended by the simple presentation of FBI evidence and constitutional law enforcement. Within minutes of Hillary's arrest, FBI field offices across the country began executing coordinated search warrants. 23 years of investigation was finally being acted upon with the full force of federal law enforcement. FBI New York field office executing search warrant at Clinton Foundation headquarters. FBI Washington field office securing Hillary Clinton's residences and offices. FBI Little Rock field office conducting asset forfeiture operations on Clinton family business properties. The immediate social media response was unlike anything in political history. Within the first hour, #Clinton arrested had accumulated over 3 million mentions, becoming the fastest trending political hashtag ever recorded. Historic arrest. We just broke every YouTube record, 500,000 likes in real time. FBI, justice is trending in 127 countries. The FBI director just arrested Hillary Clinton for treason. Comment justice if you think America is finally free. 3 days later, FBI Director Kash Patel addressed the nation. My fellow Americans, what you witnessed in that Senate chamber represents the FBI fulfilling its founding mission, equal justice under law without regard to political position or personal wealth. We prove that the Constitution works when federal law enforcement operates with integrity rather than political interference. We demonstrated that no amount of political power can overcome documented evidence of criminal behavior. Hillary Clinton thought she was above the law. The FBI just proved that in America, no one is above the Constitution. If you made it this far, you've witnessed something extraordinary: the systematic restoration of constitutional accountability by federal law enforcement operating without political interference. Smash that like button if you believe FBI integrity restored American justice. Subscribe for more constitutional law enforcement victories. This is what happens when FBI directors serve the Constitution instead of political parties. This is what happens when criminal evidence defeats political protection. God bless the FBI agents who never gave up on constitutional justice. Hillary Clinton thought she was untouchable. FBI Director Kash Patel just proved that justice always prevails. The career criminal met constitutional law enforcement. Justice was served. America was saved.